Not everyone with Asperger syndrome is quiet, but it seems from my experience, most Aspies are quiet people. But yeah, there are some who express themselves very openly, and sometimes they can border on being obnoxious. But by and large, most Aspies are, well, what do people call us? They call us quiet. They call us reserved. They call us withdrawn. They may call us even something negative like aloof. But somehow people see this quietness and they diagnose it internally, mentally, and they express their opinion of why they think we're quiet. And sometimes they say it out loud. Most times they don't, but they're thinking it. All right, but why are SBs really quiet? Well, I made a list of things. I got 16 of them all together, so we're going to have to go through these very quickly. Number one is SBs tend to be quiet simply because of what I call lockout. That is to say, we've been locked out of the conversation due to, by and large, to mind blindness. We just don't know how to converse. We don't know how that exchange works, that give and take of a conversation is something that it's not just foreign to us, it's not even there. Number two is we actually are often participating when we're being quiet. This is just our way of participating. We listen. We let you talk and we sit back and we absorb what you're saying. Number three is much the same as we're being observant, but we're also trying to learn from what others are saying, and we are kind of, how would I say this, enmeshing ourselves within the narrative of whatever other person happens to be saying. And so it's kind of like, imagine that you're watching television or you're watching fiction on YouTube or whatever, and you're not talking to the characters, right? I mean, some people do that, but not very many. So from the same perspective it's kind of like the Aspie is watching, maybe it's a documentary, and you, the other person who is speaking, well, it's live. It's like you're on a stage, and the person with Asperger syndrome, the quiet person, is just participating as an audience. Number four is it's a form of nonverbal communication. Some people are quiet because they're trying to tell you something. That doesn't sound right, does it? It sounds contradictory. We're going to tell you something by being quiet. Well, we may be telling you we're not interested. Sometimes we tell you that we're angry, usually not. We could tell you that we are very interested, and you don't always know, but the fact of the matter is they get expressed the same way. Number five, rather, is a lot of times we are quiet just because, well, it's an expression of loyalty. That we are loyal to you. This is not a superficial friendship where we're trying to score points or one-upmanship. Whatever you say, we've got something better to say. Whatever your experience was, we have a better experience now. We're just letting you talk because we're not fake and because, we're not into that social climbing thing. That's just not who we are. Sometimes we are quiet simply because we are self-aware. We're thinking, and some people see this as aloofness, but we are so self-aware, so self-conscious that expressing ourselves is just not available to us. So we just sit back and, again, we absorb. Number seven, much the same as we're being introspective. That is to say, as we observe others, we're thinking. We're mulling these things over in our mind. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but it can be a little bit challenging to talk and think at the same time. Now, some people can do that, some people can't. Somebody was asking me, well, they ask me often, how is it that you play the piano? You don't have any music? I mean, how do you know what notes to play? And my response is, how do you know how to talk? Reading music is kind of like reading a book. And when people talk, have a conversation, how do they know how to do that? I mean, why aren't you just reading a script or reading a book? How do you know how to express yourself? And it's basically the same thing. Some people read music, some people play by ear, some people read manuscripts, and some people talk. Okay, I don't know anybody who reads manuscripts, but you know what I mean. So we are introspective. Number eight, sometimes the conversation just is boring. I mean, it's just irrelative. so we don't really care what people are talking about. So we get quiet. We don't try to change the topic. That would not be a good thing. Number 9 is people who are quiet, Aspies who are quiet, are often empathetic and caring, and we really are concerned about what other people are talking about. Now, sometimes this can be a fault of Aspies. I've listened to people on the telephone for like an hour or two. Talk non-stop. To me, that's, unless there's a really grave concern, typically that's, I don't want to say it's discourteous, because some people actually can't help themselves. It's the way they're equipped. Like some Aspies are equipped to be quiet. Some people are neurologically equipped not to be quiet, and so they just talk endlessly. But sometimes, it's just our way of expressing empathy, our way of saying, yeah, we care about you and what you have to say. So number 10 is we're just being respectful. Oftentimes, we're giving you the chance to express yourself, and since we don't want to interject ourselves and interrupt you, it's just a way of being, well, kind of polite. Number 11 is because we are emotionally, by and large, stable. Not all the time, but, we tend to be individuals who don't emote. We're not emotionally expressive. Hugs and kisses and cheers and boo-hooing and crying. We do those things, but nowhere nearly as much as neurotypical people. So a lot of times it's just an expression of our emotional stability. A lot of people emote, they express their emotions verbally. They talk, and they talk with expression, a lot of expression, and sometimes they talk very loudly, or their voice tone will modulate up and down, where people with Asperger syndrome, quiet people, their volume is set on 0. They don't have that emotional motive to express themselves. Number 12 is a lot of times just patient, just letting the other person talk, and we'll say a word or two when the conversation is over if the person doesn't walk away. And yeah, I've had people actually be that rude. Talk. Okay, we're done. Goodbye. And they're gone. I recall one time I stopped by to pick up a pizza, and leaving the pizza place, and there was a guy there who knew me, and he had a nice conversation, and he talked for a while until his pizza was ready, and then he's out of there. He's done. He wants to go home. He didn't even stop to consider that maybe I wanted to go home and eat my pizza, but anyhow, sometimes we're just patient, and yeah, we can be patient to a fault. This is another reason Aspies are sometimes quiet. Quiet Aspies are quiet is because they're not self-promoting. That is to say, it's an expression of humility, that we're not trying to advance our agenda or ourselves, but we're just being ourselves. We don't need to advance ourselves. We're perfectly fine, some of us perfectly fine, happy who we are. Number 14, here are 3 things that it doesn't say. We're not bored, but very actively thinking. Sometimes we are bored, but oftentimes being quiet, that doesn't mean necessarily that we're bored and we don't care about what the other person is saying. And a lot of times they think that because we don't like to make eye contact. So we may be listening to somebody and we're staring off to space, but very attentive to what they're saying, or maybe even listening with our eyes closed. If we fall asleep, okay, that's a sign that we're bored. Number 15, it's really not that we're shy, even though, yeah, Aspies can be shy, and a lot of them actually are shy. But shyness, that just seems to be a catch-all for quietness, and it's not synonymous. It's not the same thing. So maybe it is shyness, but not necessarily. It could be that the Aspie is just comfortable being quiet, and other people are more comfortable. It seems like neurotypical people are more comfortable rather when they're talking, when they're expressing ourselves. We're more comfortable being quiet. So we're just all being comfortable. Number 16 is we're not necessarily depressed or angry. Sometimes we do get quiet when we're depressed. I know I do. Some people, some Aspies do get quiet when they're angry because, again, they don't emote. They're not the types who are going to throw a hissy fit. Some of us do, and sometimes we have meltdowns and people think, okay, he's throwing a temper tantrum. Not the same thing by any standards. But sometimes, yeah, we can be quiet because we're angry or quiet because we're depressed, but usually we're just being quiet because we want to be quiet. Speaking of being quiet, I guess we'll bring this to an end. See those 2 rectangles on the screen? If you want to keep on talking together, let's do it. Just click one of those two rectangles and our conversation will go on. If not, thanks for stopping by. See y'all next time.